We are live talking NASCAR on ProLine TV. Thanks for tuning in as we enter another road course phase. Watkins Glen, the second road course race of the season in the NASCAR Cup Series. I'm your host, Greg DePalma, being joined by CJ Radune from RotoWire.com. And we're going to preview this week's race. We'll go over the odds that have kicked off the week for the race at Watkins Glen, and also go over some DFS bargains that you want to be keeping an eye on. We have some possibilities. Salary cap, you always have to find the bargains, especially if 99% of the world is going to pick SVG in their contest this week. So very important to try to find as many bargains as possible, and we'll throw out as many as we can. What's going on, CJ?
Getting ready for a road course here. I was actually looking at the schedule earlier, and we have a real treat coming up in June into July, where we have 3 road course races in a row. 2 of them actually being street courses, but it's going to end up being 3 road courses in a row. So this will have to do us up until the end of June.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, that's not going to be. I'm not looking forward to that. Well, we don't know about San Diego. That could be good.
Not yet. Yeah, that's the new track. We'll see how it goes. Chicago, and then Sonoma is mixed in there as well. So,
yeah, Chicago, we don't even know either, do we?
Not really.
When was the last time they were in Chicago?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chicago Speedway. I was thinking Chicago Street Course. My goodness, yes, that changed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was thinking Chicago Street Course. Yeah, it's been a long time since they've been to Chicagoland Speedway. So my apologies. We just have 2 road courses back to back, but Chicago is the new oval. I forgot that they ditched the street course.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully the San Diego race would be nice because with Sonoma after that, Chicago could be good. And then we've got a few more weeks after that with North Wilkesboro, which is not exciting. And then the Brickyard, which is always pretty boring. That stretch there. And it's a real shame too, because it's like it's in the meat of the summer when there's nothing else going on in sports, and you would think that they would have some of their better races, and it's like it's their worst part of the schedule.
Yep, I agree. We've talked about that several times. At least they did try to make it a little bit better, getting off the streets of Chicago, moving back to the oval. So like you said, hopefully that turns out well. But I do think they could use with a shakeup within there. They just need to add some different tracks that are more exciting, like a Las Vegas, Kansas, etc.
Okay, so last week we had the win by Chase Elliott, so another winning pick. Things are starting to look well. Things are going pretty well, at least for handicapping. We work here as a team, so we're doing pretty well overall there with a nice over 400 on my side of things. And what I like about Texas now, I have to admit, is that it's such a terrible track that it's you don't know what's going to happen, and so that's. Look, we didn't see anybody go out there and dominate in the first half of the race, so that was good. It took a lot quicker for the chaos to begin, so that was good. And it was like immediate. It's like as soon as that first caution came out, those early cautions came out, then we had the 2-tire stops and the no-tire stops and this and that. And it was just it was actually refreshing to see drivers that are normally in the back of the field driving in the front of the field. It's almost like when I saw that, I was like, maybe they should think of doing that once in a while, like, invert like they used to do in the All-Star race, just so we could see how these drivers perform in the front of the race. It was refreshing. Anyway, so we didn't get any drivers dominating, which is always good. And we also had like 5 of the top drivers out there that just had single wreck issues, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, single car issues. And so that did make it a little easier for everybody else with some of the top cars out.
Yeah, I like how you pointed out that the strategies started varying right off of the bat. We had that unexpected caution that took out Christopher Bell while he was in the lead. by the way, that just jumbled up everything. And then that set the stage for the rest of the race where, because it happened early, we didn't get the long green flag runs at the beginning like we typically do at Texas. The excitement was spread throughout the race versus just being concentrated more toward the end. But that, again, those strategies caused it. Guys that you're not used to seeing at the front decided to stay out. There were fuel only stops. There were 2 tire stops, 4 tire stops. Those are all the types of things that make this type of racing more interesting. And I think with predictability at Texas, everybody knew that if they weren't right at the front at the very beginning, they needed to do something right away to try to get themselves there. And that's why it played out. I still don't like the track. It's, to your point, it's so bad that it's semi-good at this point because nobody can seem to get their hands around it. So we always end up having these mistakes. And there were plenty of mistakes on pit road too, which is surprising. That's not typical either. But I think all that combined made for a pretty good race, despite the fact that it's Texas, and I'd still rather see them at Las Vegas.
Okay, so Watkins Glen this week, and a couple of interesting points to look at that make this race pretty easy to handicap compared to other races. And not just because you can just say, hey, take SVG, but just if you take a look at it in the next gen, there's been 4 races, and the car in the front row that started second won the race 3 times. So that, and Buscher, who won in 2024 from the 24th position, the biggest outlier. Let's keep in mind that SVG finished second in that race, and he was really the better car. It was just Buscher was, used fuel mileage to his advantage, and SVG started third. So you really do need to just start up front. If you start in the top 2 rows, you're going to have a real good chance to win here. And if you have a Chevy, you stand a real good chance to win here as well. Ford's not bad. It's Toyota, though, that for the most part has not performed well here in next gen. And then we'll be talking about that for sure as we go over this. So, yeah, so there again, it's only 4 races in next gen, but if we just zero in on those 4, there's a lot of numbers pointing in certain directions that do make this a fairly easy race to handicap. Doesn't mean it's easy to win. It's just easy to handicap.
Yeah, easier after qualifying, certainly, than on Wednesday here. But nonetheless, Watkins Glen, just as a course, is unique. It's different from Circuit of the Americas. It's different than Sonoma. It's different than the street courses. It's faster. It has less slow speed corners, and the faster the car goes, the more aerodynamic weight you get, and the harder it is to suck up and pass someone, especially if you don't have the heavy braking zones. There are only a couple of those here. So this track really rewards rhythm, and drivers that can get in that rhythm, maintain momentum, and carry corner speed throughout. That's one of SVG's biggest strong suits, and one of the reasons why he's very successful here. And the drivers that can do that typically are the ones that are going to qualify fast as well, getting the most out of their lap time on Saturday before they go and race on Sunday.
All right. Well, P-Man mentions rain. Where is Watkins Glen?
Watkins Glen is in upstate New York, western New York wine country around the Finger Lakes, and there is rain in the schedule.
What's the name of the city?
Watkins Glen.
Oh, it is a city. Okay. How about that? That's original.
Nice and easy. Yeah. There is supposed to be rain developing in the afternoon on Sunday. So very well could be a rain interrupted race. And keep in mind, this race is usually run in August. It is now May. They moved it forward. So it's going to be a little bit cooler than it typically is, and likely more wet as well.
Don't we usually get, oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's Pocono that it always rains.
Yes.
Right.
Always get thunderstorms at Pocono, hot and humid there.
All right. Let's see here.
In the summer.
Yeah. This is one of those situations where you get the feeling that they're going to race on Monday.
They do have wet tires and rain for road courses. So if there's no lightning, if it's not dangerous, pooling water, standing water, I think they'll try to get it in. And hopefully we do see a wet race. That'll make it certainly wild.
Okay. How will that affect the best drivers? Like, would you be hesitant in any way to take SVG because he's such a low number because it's raining?
I would be more inclined to take SVG if it's raining because of the car control factor. This track in and of itself, when it's dry, brings out all of the best qualities in SVG's driving style. And I think when you put rain into the equation, tilts it even more toward his favor versus the rest of the guys that just aren't used to driving under those conditions at a place like this.
All right. What do you think his odds are?
I'll go conservative and say 250.
Oh, I wish.
Are they negative?
No.
5. All right.
It's about even. Yeah. And that's at this stage, I think it's predictable, even though he didn't win at Texas. Reddick, of course, had that win. Shane did finish second, but he was really never in that race. He didn't really have a great race at Texas. Not sure why, but he's raced here just twice, and he probably should have won both times. But again, Buescher won the fuel mileage race in 2024. Not that SVG had like a great race or anything like that, but still, he was the best car. And that was still at the time that we were saying at that point of his road course career that you can't take him until he wins a race. And that was still a point of discussion, and he still hadn't won at that point. And look, he's probably going to finish first or second. And the question is just going to be whether or not we want to roll the dice and put a lot of money on him. And this is the time of year too, what I would say, because I've already done this in basketball and hockey, is that I was doing a basketball show with Jim Feist and Andy Isco on this channel. And they do tons of NBA stuff, and I don't. And then they were talking about, and I asked them, hey, OKC is only like minus 125 to win the championship. So they're a heavy favorite. Is it worth it? And Jim said, yeah, he thinks it's worth it. So I decided, well, I don't want to put a lot of money on an even minus 125. I'm not Jim Feist. So let me see if I can hedge the bet. Well, give the bet a little bit more slanted my way with a parlay. And I realized that, I feel real strong about Colorado winning the Stanley Cup. And they were about 200 to 1 or something like that. So I just merged them. So this is one of those situations that I would do as well. I would take a look at SVG and I would try to see, hey, if you like OKC to win the championship, if you like Colorado to win the Stanley Cup, merge those teams because I was able to get 450 to 1 just because I added Colorado with minus 125, and that's even shorter than SVG. So you can definitely improve your odds a lot doing it that way. Okay. Anyway, who do you think is next?
Is it Connor Zilich?
It certainly is. And thank goodness for that, because we really enjoy and appreciate the stupidity of Las Vegas putting Connor Zilich second at 3 to 1, when even to this point, even after the odds were really low for him at Texas, and he was not even in anywhere near the front, that they just ran it back again at 3 to 1. So we're going to play the same game we did with Shane when he started his career. It worked out for us perfectly. So we just had to wait for him to win that one race, and he beat us that one time, and then we came right back, and we've taken him ever since. And then once again, and we didn't hit it last time out, but that's okay. We just keep taking them until anything changes, and I certainly don't expect Connor Zilich to get in the way.
No, this is definitely the game to play exactly like we did with SVG at the beginning. Yeah, he's good, and yeah, he's ultimately going to get there, but he needs time, and he needs time to figure it out and prove it. And once he does, that's when you jump back on the bandwagon. But until then, you definitely want to stay away from Connor Zilich until such time as he's actually producing the results.
I didn't check his O'Reilly record here. Does he have like a win here in O'Reilly?
Let me check.
You would think he'd have to have a win in order for him to be this low.
I know he's beaten SVG head-to-head. I believe this is the track that he won at and then hurt himself. So let me see. Yes.
When he did that flip.
Yep, back-to-back wins, 24 and 25 in the O'Reilly series. And was it last year or the year before? He fell off he was standing on the car in victory lane, slipped, fell off, and ended up hurting his shoulder. So yeah, as we've said, same thing with SVG. Definitely got the pedigree, definitely has the skills, is going to figure it out eventually. At least it looks that way. But until such time as it is figured out, that's when you want to jump on, not taking these low numbers now while they're still on their way up.
Yeah, he's got 5 wins in 7 races in the O'Reilly on road courses.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cup is a different level, though.
Yeah. Let's see. In the Cup series, Connor has been only in 2, and he does not have a top 10 in either one.
There you go.
Okay. Let's take a look at who do you think's next?
I want to say Christopher Bell, but it might be Kyle Larson.
No, I'm surprised that you didn't get this one.
Oh,
come on now. Think about it. It's pretty obvious, actually.
Oh, Chase Elliott?
No.
Really? Oh, Reddick. Yeah, that's on me. My bad.
Yeah. Coming off the win in Texas and
yeah, my bad.
Dominating from the pole. And of course, Reddick's had a great year so far. Not that this look, he hasn't done anything here though. And so that's the thing to keep in mind, but at least you're getting 7-1. So it's I don't blame anybody for taking Reddick, but again, he's driving a Toyota. So you have to be wary of that. I think what you want to do is just pick one Toyota driver. That's all you want to do. If you're like us, if you pick a handful of drivers every week, then sure. If you like a Toyota driver, just take one of them. Don't double down on them. They're just not good here. So and maybe Reddick's the guy, but I think there are some other potential Toyotas that we'll get at, maybe with even better value. Okay, so let's take a look at the rest. So look at Kyle Larson at 18-1. So yeah, Bell's that Toyota that I would be thinking about. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to take Bell over Reddick because Bell has a really good fantasy number here. His average starting position is 15.6. His average finish is 6.8. So that's almost 10 spots that he's gaining. He was also 3rd at Texas. We know he's a very good road course driver. He hasn't won here yet, but he sure has been close in several other road courses. I don't even know how many wins does he have? He's got like 1 or 2 road course wins in his career, Christopher Bell.
Yeah, I think it's a couple, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, let me see. He has 2, Coda and Roval. And he's got 4 runner-ups. So that's how strong.
One.
What's that? Oh, yeah. So that's how good Bell is. And you're getting an extra few points as well. As far as the rest of this group, the Chevys, the Hendrick drivers there, Byron, Elliott, and Larson. Again, Chevy's the way to go. So you have to respect these 3 Chevy drivers. The problem is all 3 of them Byron actually has been the best one because he actually just had one big win in 2023 when he led all 66 of the laps he's ever led here. And that's it. That's his big race. Now, he's been okay here. He's been solid, but he hasn't had anything like that, anything close. So that was just a 1-year deal, but still, he showed he could do it with next gen, and he's 14-1. I might even rather take Byron and Elliott and Larson because Elliott, in his last 3 races, has an average start of 16.3 and an average finish of 25.6 without leading a lap. In his previous 4 before that, his average start was 4.0 and his average finish was 2.0. That's how strong Chase was here before the last 3 years. And so I will say this, though, if he starts in the top 5, and we'll talk about this on Saturday on the show, then I will change my mind and I will go back to it. But the thing is you got to keep in mind, obviously, he's 16-1 now. And if he starts in the top 5, you're going to lose some. But again, because SVG's there and Zilich is there and Reddick is there, I'm not sure you're going to lose a lot. I'd rather take the chance, even if it's 10-1 or 12-1, and just go ahead and wait and see. Larson, on the other hand, boy, he's just been going through, I don't know what he's going through. Because last week we talked about the fact that he dominates at Texas, at least leading a whole bunch of laps, and he couldn't even come close to doing that last week. Got himself in trouble as well. He's got 2 career wins here, back-to-back in 2021 and 2022. But in his last 3 races, just like Chase Elliott, and again, pretty much like Byron, except for the big win, average is 17th. Average finish is 25.6. So that's why he's 18-1. So, yeah, I mean, in this group, Bell is, even though it's a Toyota, he's clearly the best driver, I think, here out of this group in my mind. And then I would probably, I might actually just, if I had to pick now, because I'm not going to pick Byron right now. I don't think I'm going to go that way. So if I had to pick now, I might just pick Elliott just to roll the dice that he qualifies well because he's having a strong year.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Christopher Bell is the Toyota that you want to go with. 4 top 10s out of 5 tries this track. It doesn't matter where he starts either. He finished 8th, starting 38th one time. So he can come forward in this field too. So Christopher Bell at Watkins Glen is good play. Out of the remaining 3, I think I'd go with Elliott just because of how good he was on road courses in the past. And we talk about it every time, or at least I talk about it every time we come to a road course now. He's continuing to up his game. Plus the fact that he just joined Tyler Reddick as the only other driver to have won multiple races so far this season. So he's got momentum on his side coming into a track where he's got back-to-back wins, 2 poles. And the reason he hasn't finished well recently is because he hasn't qualified well. So if he can figure out qualifying on Saturday, I bet you he's going to be finishing well. So I might be willing to take him now, just like you said, gambling on the fact that he has a good Saturday.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see. So Elliott was 8th in the roll. Well, he was 7th, I think, earlier this year. 8th in the Roval. Let's see what else. Road courses I see here. 26th last year in this race, as I said. That was the bad part. 3rd at Sonoma last year again. 3rd at Mexico. And yeah, I think those were the ones that stick out. So yeah, he's definitely. Oh, and 4th at in Texas last year. Okay, so yeah. He's going to win again, too, on the road course, and that's the thing. That's what you want. You want to be able to take advantage. We got to hope that when we pick Chase Elliott, he is in this bargain territory because, if he starts running off a lot more top 5s or runner-ups in these road courses, those odds are going to start coming down. And if he's back to being a championship contender, those odds are going to be cut in half. So hopefully we'll get him when he's in this zone here. All right. What do you think is going on with Larson, by the way, overall?
Last week, I think, was an anomaly because he's had a couple of really good races where he's got out front and led. It looked like he was about ready to win, but for whatever reason, things just didn't go his way. Last week, right from the very beginning, he was complaining about his handling, and they were working on the car throughout the race and just never figured it out. So I'm thinking that it's just a one-off. I think he's got enough momentum on his side of coming close the several weeks before then that we should see Kyle Larson in victory lane sooner rather than later here.
8th overall, so it's not like he doesn't have top 10s and top 5s on the year.
Yep.
But as usual, he's got 4 finishes, 32nd or worse.
There you go.
Okay. Next group here. And there are some options. So you've got some decent odds here. Buescher was that outlier, that trend outlier with his win, his fuel mileage win in 2024. But he's still nonetheless a very good fantasy option. In the next gen only, his average starting position is 14th. His average finish is 5th. And if you look at it too, he's had all top 10s during the next gen, including 3rd last year and 1st, of course, in 2024, because he was terrible pre-next gen at Watkins Glen. Terrible. But that new car changed everything for a lot of drivers, including Buescher. He's driving a Ford. So I definitely think I like him still at the top of this list. Briscoe, I'm just a little unsure of because he really, if you look at it, with JGR last year, in his first year here, he finished 5th, started 3rd. But before JGR, his average starting position was 19.7. His average finish was 18.7. So he had done nothing here until the switch in ownership. And that was just one race, but he still hasn't. I mean, he looked like he was going to get going, and then the last couple of races, it's backwards again. AJ, we know he's always capable of pulling off a win. He's got a really good, solid average of 11th here, basically, over his career. He's got a win. It's quite a while ago in 2014. He's only led 2 laps in his last 7 races at Watkins Glen, though. But he's still somebody to keep an eye on at a very fair price at 22-1, because he's in the past, he used to be 12-1. Yes. And now he's 22-1. So now he's a little bit more where you say, yeah, maybe I'll look at him. Blaney's also interesting, because if we look at Ryan Blaney, remember last year, he led those early laps from the pole, led 35 laps, finished 6th. And he knew he wasn't going to win the race. He knew SVG was the best driver. But, I think more than anything, he just really wanted, it was like a practice session for Blaney and the team. And let's see what we can do to beat this guy. And let's race him, and we'll figure things out a lot better. Well, he comes back to Texas. He leads another 11 laps, which was second most in the race to Tyler Reddick, and finished 8th. So I do like, and Blaney does have a road course win. It's at the Roval. So it's not like he's terrible in road course racing. As you can see, his odds are a lot better than Joey Logano and his teammates in general. So I think in this particular area here at 22-1, I'd probably rather have him over Briscoe or AJ. But I think all of these drivers here are all more than capable. But I think Buescher is the top fantasy driver of the list.
I agree. Buescher has 4 straight Watkins Glen finishes of 9th or better. If you go back a little bit further, only 3 races at Watkins Glen did he finish outside of the top 20. And keep in mind that he's really not been on a team that's been overly competitive until just the past year or two. So he knows how to get the job done here. And this is a road course that very much suits his style. So Buescher, definitely good to go with. Chase Briscoe, 2 other top 10s when he was driving for Stuart Haas before he got that 5th place with AJ Allmendinger. I think finally we're getting closer to the price range here, or the odds range that it should be, because he's been going backward, quite frankly, on the road courses. Other teams seem to be catching up with him. I'm not sure if the new, more higher wear tire is affecting him and his ability to be able to trounce the field as he used to do. But like you said, he's only led 2 laps in the last 5, 6, 7 Watkins Glen races. And last 2 of them, he kind of hasn't really been anywhere. Last year, expected more out of him, ended up only finishing 11th. And like you said, Blaney, pretty good. A handful of top 10s, a top 5. He's got the pole, led a bunch of laps, so he's getting better on the road courses. Top 2 out of this bunch, it would be Buescher and Blaney.
Okay, before we move on, P-Man wants to know about how the metrics work. Good question this week with the rainout of qualifying inevitable. And this is also going to throw a monkey in the wrench, unfortunately, because we really won't know who deserves to be up there. And so it's going to be a bummer, because, again, this is a pretty easy handicap. And if it's rained out, it's going to make it a lot harder. But anyway, the way it's calculated is you've got 35% owner points ranking, 25% driver finish from the previous race. So it's only 25%. Also 25% owner finish from the previous race, and 15% fastest lap ranking in the previous race. Just a bunch of ridiculous garbage of how they've set these drivers up. It's silly, especially they did it last week. The way that they did with the group Formula 2, you notice that you go out in Group 1 or Group 2 based on you go out in Group 1 in qualifying in practice based on how you finished the week before. That's another silly thing, because it's Talladega the week before. So it's like, but I don't know. I don't know if some of these drivers prefer to practice in Group 1 or Group 2. It depends on the track. So I don't know. So, some of these rules that they have for things like this are just silly. And this is the silliest of all, these percentages. And it doesn't make any sense to me. Just, if you want, just go ahead and just, if you finished first last week, give him first. I don't know. I don't know what you say.
Yeah, you got the weighting percentages right, but Tyler Reddick's been so strong for so long, and he didn't have a bad Texas race either. So given those percentages and the way that they shake out, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm willing to bet that Tyler Reddick is on the pole. I think Chase Elliott would still be on the front row just because of the fact that he won. He's got he's the only other driver to have multiple wins. He's been doing really well. So put him in the top three, but I think we're just based on points alone, Reddick's got more than 100-point lead in the standings right now with what he's done, and he didn't finish poorly at Texas either. So I think the odds on for the rain washing out qualifying would be Reddick. Probably have Elliott on the front row. If not, he'd certainly be on the second row.
Yeah, the fastest lap thing is the silly part of it.
I don't know who who has those, to be honest with you. Yeah. So
yeah, I don't mind the first three.
Yeah.
Just based because it does, even though, again, sometimes your ownership, you could have three drivers that just aren't any good and one's lucky, sort of like what we just talked about with Byron, in a couple of years ago. So that still a little bit, I'd prefer the driver from the last week. And if you want to do teams, owner stuff, do it for the year as opposed to the race last week. Because that's more deserving. Do the ownership, how they're doing this year, they deserve it. And who won last week and how they performed. And again, keep in mind that if Elliott starts second or third or whatever he starts, it's going to make it harder because I'm not going to go, oh, he's starting top five. Now I'm taking him. I don't know if he would have started in the top five. That's the point, is that I'm going to have, if I got no practice and I got no qualifying, it's a guessing game. And that's why it's going to make it harder. So I might just be, now look, again, it's not a bad gamble, which is still the point, is if he's still 16-1 or 14-1, if he's winding, that's still fine. I mean, again, it's a gamble we're gambling on, and that's what it's all about. So I'm still willing to do that, but we just won't know. It's not going to be one of those deals where it's like, oh, he's in the top five, so I know he's strong this week. No, I'd just be gambling on the fact that I'm getting Chase Elliott starting on the front row. Maybe the clean air will help him out and so forth. Okay. Enough of that. This group isn't terrible. So McDowell coming in at 22-1. That's a pretty decent number. I might want a little bit more than 22-1, but it is what it is. And check this out, his average start in the next gen is 5.5. He also has 2 top 10s out of those 4 races. He led 38 laps out of those 4 races by leading 7 or more laps in 3 of the 4 races. Keeping in mind, he was just in a Chevy last year. And last year he finished 19th, which is kind of weird that now he's driving a Chevy and he has a 19th place finish, didn't lead a lap, started 6th. He was with Ford before that, which again, if you're driving a Ford, you're fine. Fords have done fine here. So they just haven't been as good as Chevy, but they've been fine. It's Toyota that hasn't been really good at all. Gibbs, that would worry me about Gibbs for that exact reason. He's driving a Toyota, even though he was 4th at Texas. Keep in mind that, and again, this is something that would have worked for us on a discussion on Saturday. He qualified, I think, in the top 10 one time, and he finished 5th. When he did not qualify in the top 10, he qualified 14th, 15th, and 16th. He finished 22nd, 26th, and 33rd. So again, I would have liked to have seen if Gibbs hopefully qualifies on Saturday. We'll know a lot more about him. I think Chastain, just like last week, and look, Chastain was turning into a nice pick again last week until he sped on pit road like a dum-dum. And that just ruined everything. He was in the top 10. Everything was looking good. And then he sped. But the good thing is that he's still a long shot. He was 10th here last year and 4th the year before that. Matter of fact, he was on the pole in the Buescher win race, leading 51 laps. So again, I think I'm not going to blame him this week for what he did last week in speeding when it looked like he would have had another top 10. It would have been a back-to-back top 10s for him. So I think that's good. And Suarez is not the worst idea in the world either, shot with a big number like that. And I just would want to see him, without a doubt, in the top 10 maybe even a top 5 qualifying position, because he's such a big number that I'm still going to get a good number because he's had 3 career top 5s out of 8 races, which is not bad. But again, this is why if it's rained out on Saturday, it's really going to make things hard to judge these drivers.
Yeah, you can kind of put all these guys into one bucket, a couple of top 10s and good finishes here and there. Chastain back-to-back top 10 finishes at this track. So maybe he's, toward the top half of this group. McDowell, very good qualifying, just needs to be able to figure out turn that into a full race, because he started 6th, as you said, and finished 19th last year in 2023. He started 3rd, ended up finishing 36th because of an electrical problem, led 17 laps. So I think I'd put McDowell up at the front there just of his consistent qualifying. I would bank on him being able to be inside the top 10 by the time we get to Sunday. And then Suarez, actually with Spire Motorsports being so good, Suarez finished 7th in this race last year, started 19th. So that's a good fantasy play right now. Well, he's got 3 other top 5s at this track. So I might put Suarez 2nd and then Ross Chastain a close 3rd. But I would stay away from Ty Gibbs, mainly because he's just got that one result at the top 5. And that was when he qualified on the 2nd row. The other 3 races all outside of the top 20. So I want to see a little bit more consistency there.
Yeah, keeping as far as Hunter mentioning AJ not driving good equipment, keep in mind we've been saying that with AJ in the Cup Series as long as AJ's been in the Cup Series on the courses. So we've always held that against him. But the point is now he's getting 22-1 when he was such a lower. That's why we always used to stay away from him, because he had bad equipment, and they were giving him shorter odds because he was really good on a road course. Now he's getting value.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why we've not seen the AJ Allmendinger of old as we've seen at Watkins Glen, because the teams have gotten better. The competition has gotten better.
That's true too. Yeah.
And we know that AJ isn't in great equipment, and it just hasn't kept pace with everything that's been coming into the series in these recent seasons. So AJ, number one, it was driving above his equipment. We all know that. He continues to drive above his equipment at these types of tracks, but it's just that gap just continues to grow, and he's just not keeping pace with it. So, I like AJ. I hope he does fantastic, but I agree, not in great equipment, and that gap is growing wider every season.
Okay, we don't have a lot to go on with long shots because there just aren't many. So, out of this group, I don't know. Hocevar just won a race, so I can't take Hocevar, even though he has had one good race and fantasy wise and one bad race fantasy wise. Kyle, of course, very good here pre-next gen, very good, but he's been a disaster in the last 4 races in next gen, and we know how things are going with Kyle. Logano does have a Watkins Glen win, but he's only had 1 top 5 in his last 8 races at the track. And Bowman would have been a nice pick, back-to-back 3rd place finishes coming in here. Unfortunately, he's been pretty bad here over his career. I don't know, maybe he's not a bad outlier possibility just because of the fact that he is coming off of back-to-back top 5s, and he is driving a Chevy. But I don't know. We went over the Hendrick drivers, and it's not like they've been doing very well the last few years with the next gen either. So, what do you think? Who would you take here? Who would you take here? Hocevar?
I would take Hocevar just because of the momentum that he's got. He started off really strongly last week as well, so got pole again. So Hocevar is just at the top of his game, so you kind of got to go with him. He started 29th the year that he finished 3rd. So that's tremendous. And then last year he comes back, qualifies inside the top 10, but slips a little bit for the finish and finishes 18th. Joey Logano just has absolutely no luck. So not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Kyle Busch, I want to see, he stepped up with the crew chief change last week. They got a little bit better, but he still has his share of problems. Maybe this is a week where that kind of gels. They've got another week together, see if that boosts him up a little bit. But just got to go with Carson Hocevar, Spire, and Hocevar right now, both at the tops of their games.
And again, if we do have qualifying, it'll be nice to see what happens with Bowman in qualifying. And if he qualifies well, considering his average starting position is 18th, then that's something I would look at because he's actually not a bad road course driver. He's got decent numbers over his career. at certain road course tracks.
Just not this.
No, just not this one. All right. And as far as these drivers here, nobody really sticks out. It's just that Austin Cindric surprisingly does not have a good history here because he's the better road course driver. I still think he's the play, but I don't think he's ever had a top 10 here. He's never led a lap, but he's kind of just outside that. His average start is 10.8. His average finish is 13.8. So in this group, he might be the best one. Denny Hamlin has a win in his career, but he's only led 21 laps in 19 races. And in the next gen, got a runner-up, and that was from the pole in 2023. But the other three races, he started 22nd in all three races, which is weird. And he's finished 20th, 23rd, and 25th. I mean, what kind of weekends would that be? If you started 22nd and always finished right about 22nd, I mean, that would be the worst, boringest weekend you could think of. But at least he had one good showing in 2023. So, yeah, I don't really think anything of Priest or Gilliland here. So I think Cindric is the one I'd go with.
I agree. Cindric's the play just because we know that he's a great road course racer. He's just got to put it together at the Cup level, which, again, go back to Village. How long it's taken Austin Cindric to come together on road courses at Cup level, just a completely different game when you get up here, and he's still figuring it out. So all the more reason to avoid Zilich until he wins. But yeah, Cindric is the play. He's got one top 10. That was when he started 5th. The rest of the races, he's been quite around like 15th, 16th or so. So that would definitely be the one that I would go with this time.
And believe it or not, we actually have a couple of long shots to consider here. And one of them is Bubba Wallace, and the other is Zane Smith. So Bubba is coming off an 8th place finish here last year from the 15th position. He also had a solid run at Texas when he finished 11th. And you're looking at a driver that has absolutely no success in road course racing over his career. And so, again, this was a driver that I was just interested to see the qualifying out of him. With a big number like this, that means I would have still had a nice opportunity no matter what he did. So I think it's worth a gamble at 130 to 1. You don't have to put much up. And I definitely think he's a good fantasy option because you would guess he's going to be pretty low in the salary cap, as will Zane Smith, who finished 7th. Now, check this out. He's only raced here twice, of course, in the Cup Series, but he might be like the best fantasy bargain of them all. Average start 26th, average finish 11th. That's you're not getting much better than that. So, yeah, those would be the only two long shots out of the rest of the field that I think are worth mentioning.
Yep, I agree. Zane Smith, very solid. And I know for a fact he's down at the bottom of the DraftKings price list, so he would be my value pick for sure. And Bubba Wallace, yeah, he's gotten some good results here at Watkins Glen. This is a road course that seems to suit him. And by the way, other road courses he's been doing pretty well at as well. I think he's been running around the top 10, getting stage points, if not finishing in the top 10 as well. So Wallace is definitely improving his game. But don't overlook Zane Smith. Very quietly putting up good numbers, and you're getting really good value from him in the salary cap space in DraftKings this week too.
Okay, so let's who gets the first pick this week? Me?
I
think so. You keep forgetting. That's your job.
I don't know why you see. I don't think I've answered it once yet this season.
No, you have. Let's see. You started. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's me. Okay. So, well, this is easy. Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing else I could say, but we've made this decision. We're not jumping off the SVG bandwagon at this point. So SVG is the top driver.
Yep. I was going to say as a joke, give me Connor Zilich, but that would be a joke. I will go with Christopher Bell. You made it tough, obviously, because I think SVG is so far head and shoulders above. You gotta continue to ride that bandwagon. Christopher Bell, his luck's got to turn sometime. Yeah, he's in a Toyota, but he's exceptional at Watkins Glen, and He's just got to get over this bad luck streak.
I'll go ahead and for me, it's going to be between Elliott and Blaney. So I'll go ahead and take Elliott. He won for me last week in this spot. I'll go right back to Chase Elliott again. I think I hit Elliott twice this year when he's won. So that works.
Yeah. I don't want another Toyota.
No.
So I will go with Ryan Blaney.
Okay.
There's probably him and Busher. Briscoe was on my mind, but I didn't want another Toyota.
Yeah, this is for me. It's going to be down to AJ, Busher, McDowell, Chastain, Zane Smith, and Bubba Wallace. So since I have SVG, I can take anybody. And it's considered a long shot. So I will, you know what? I'll go ahead and take Chastain.
You're making it really hard for me this week.
Why, you would have taken him?
I was, yeah. I guess that leaves me. I can't.
Yeah, because you're like you got to take a long shot.
Yeah. I'll take Wallace.
Oh, another Toyota.
No, I said not another Toyota. Among the long shots, Wallace is probably most likely to get a good 10. So we'll go with that.
Okay. So there you go. And again, those other drivers that interest me that are left on the board, Allmendinger, Busher, McDowell, and Zane Smith. Anyone else you left off the board?
Not that you haven't named. No.
Okay. Okay. Now, next week, we are going to, which is All-Star Week, but we're not going to spend time with that silliness. So what we're going to do is since CJ will not be here in 2 weeks, that's the week of the Coke 600. We're going to spend time. Actually, we really should also spend some extra time too with just your feeling of the 500.
Indy 500 coming up. Yeah, a little bit early, but yeah, happy to do so.
Yeah. So because it'll be the same. You know,
I'll be
because you're not
while they're running. Yes.
Yeah. So we won't be able to get your take on the air. So yeah. So we'll again, I'm going to try to search for Coke 600 odds. Hopefully we'll get them since there's an all-star race and that's it. And maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get them early. For some reason we don't, we're still going to do it. And we just won't have the odds, but we'll have a general idea of what the odds are probably going to be. So we'll go over that. We'll be able to check out what we do all the time, which really impacts what we're talking about here. Trends, take a look at the similar tracks, all that kind of stuff. What's the most similar track to Charlotte?
Anymore? Probably a place like Las Vegas or so. You know, Texas used to be in that camp until they changed the banking. You could have put Atlanta in that camp until they switched to the super speedway style with the tiered progressive banking. But Charlotte 1.5 mile quad oval probably equates most closely now racing wise to a place like Las Vegas.
Okay. Well, that's part of it. So we'll go over that. We'll get an early look at the 500 and also what's that Antonelli kid? Well, what's all that about?
Making a ton of waves in Formula One, beating his teammates and coming out on top, just using the Mercedes setup to his benefit. What I liked about Miami was how everybody seemed to get a little bit closer. So Mercedes isn't just completely out in no man's land by themselves again. We got McLaren closing up. Red Bull took a step forward. Ferrari seemed to stay stagnant. So getting a little bit more competitive, which I like.
When's the next race?
2 weeks.
Okay.
So we'll have to
Maybe
talk.
we'll throw that in also next week. Why not? We'll throw it all in. Yeah. You're going away for a week. So, we'll have you for the full hour. All right, CJ, appreciate your time as always. And again, I will be on the air on Saturday, rain or shine, for the qualifying. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we have real qualifying numbers to go over, or else it's going to suck. But anyway, you can check out the link in the description of this video where you can find where to locate CJ's page at rotowire.com for his weekly DFS report. And he's also going to update it, of course, this week on the Watkins Glen race on Friday. I'll have that updated link from the show on Saturday. Correct?
You got it. We'll have the Watkins Glen fantasy preview with some best bets in there on Friday. Link in the description, or rotowire.com.
And thanks to our viewers, especially thanks to our viewers who have participated on the show. P-Man, Hunter, Blazier, you guys appreciate that. And we'll see everybody again next week when we get back to our regular scheduled day on Tuesday and an early preview of the Coke 600. So for CJ Radune, I'm Greg.